new hat in blue because the boat's done. Starting at the bow, I've installed my bow eye, got that sealed off with some 5200. Of course, everything is painted and varnished. Got my registration numbers on there and my sticker. And of course, the outside is all painted and this rail has been varnished. Come around back here, I've got my ePropulsion Spirit 1.0 Plus electric outboard mounted on here. And of course, this motor is perfectly suited for this boat. Probably could be a shorter shaft, but this will be just fine. And because I've only got a bow eye on here right now, I have a line tied off on that, which I'm keeping right up here. Of course, my light will go right here. And we've got this panel here, which, as I had originally intended to do, painted the verticals and varnished the horizontals. Not sure how they look on the video. It's less than perfect, but I think it's pretty good. And coming below that section, this is my panel. That's my door into the front storage area. And as you can see, I've got that completely filled up with everything that I need. Got 2 PFDs in there. Got all my paperwork, my safety equipment, fire extinguisher, everything. There's still room to pack stuff in here. I've just got all this sort of stuffed in here right now. But that's working out quite well. I don't have a latch on here or anything. I've just got it hinged on the top, but the door fits in there nice and snug. And I think that turned out pretty good. And then of course over here we've got our benches where, as I mentioned, I love leaving the bench tops varnished, and then this top edge. And my verticals are painted white. And we go around back here and I left the corners wood. And I left my motor plate wood. But here's a surprise feature you might not have expected. I have a custom floor in here. It's HydroTurf. This is my custom HydroTurf floor for my boat. My friends over at Tiny Boat Nation, when they knew I was working on this project, they offered to make this for me. It's nice and thick. It went down real easy. And I think it turned out great. I put my trailer guides back on. I've actually raised the bunks of the trailer so that way the boat doesn't hit onto these fenders. Got a little bit of dirt here on the hull. That possibly could be because I've already been out today. Yes, that's right. I have already been out today in this boat because, as you can possibly hear or see, it is windy right now, and it wasn't too windy this morning, so I knew I had to get out right away and that I could record this section after I came back. My first trip out in this boat today went really, really well. I like this boat a lot. As you can see, it rides really decently in the water. Being a flat bottom skiff, it's very well suited for this ePropulsion electric outboard. I actually am getting higher speeds out of this than I have with any of my other small boats. And of course, one of the things I love about the design of the Jimmy Skiff II is the fact that it has a floor that runs the length of the boat. So I'm not having to step over benches to go from the back of the boat up to the front of the boat. And my passengers who go to ride with me will be able to easily move around the benches on the boat without having to step over things. Now, as you might know, Chesapeake Light Craft, who designed the Jimmy Skiff II, primarily sell this boat as a boat that can be rowed or sailed, and then they recently made modifications to make the transom strong enough to support a small outboard motor. As you can see, I have not put any of the stuff on here to be able to row this boat. I never intend to row this boat. And I also haven't done anything to put anything in here for sailing the boat, because as of now, I probably will never sail this boat. But this is where the mast would actually go down, and then there would be a base for it down here. This panel comes with this hole cut in here, so that's the only evidence of this being a potential sailing boat that exists on this boat, is the fact that this square hole is here, which I'll probably use for mounting cameras. It's been a long journey to get to the place where this boat is finally seaworthy and finished, where I could take it out today. Most of the work was done in the first week, which was a classroom situation that I did at Chesapeake Light Craft in Annapolis. Now, that class was hosted by Wooden Boat School, but Chesapeake Light Craft also hosts a class that they run periodically once or twice a year at different locations to be able to build the Jimmy Skiff II. For me personally, the reason I went with a class was to be able to understand some of the aspects about how things went together, to learn a bit more about fiberglass, resin, and also being able to do fillet joints. And also, I looked at that as an opportunity to really fast track this project, because I personally am not very good at completing projects or taking projects from just bare materials to being something like this, a completed whole boat. For me, this is quite an accomplishment. I also had some help and encouragement from a lot of people along the way, including many of you who encouraged me with this project. The first week was a one-week class at Chesapeake Light Craft, sponsored by Wooden Boat School, where we had the hull completed. So everything was in place for this to be a boat. It was fiberglassed, most surfaces were covered with resin, and all of the assembly work was done and the construction work was done. All I had to do at home was sand, resin, and then decide what parts were going to be painted and what parts were going to be epoxied, and that's it. But that part takes a lot of time, and unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time to be able to do a lot of that work over the next several months. I had several people who were moving away from me, including both of my children during that time, and I had a lot of other things going on in my life. So I had to kind of work on this whenever I could, around a lot of other things. And periodically, I would have a week or two where I could get a lot of work done, and then it would have to sit for several weeks without being touched. And that frustrated me a lot. And I honestly had hoped and expected that I would be finished the boat by the end of August, and here it is early November, and I'm finally sitting in my completed boat and took it out for the first time this morning. But that's okay. I started in early April, and I'm finishing in early November. I'm okay with that. The fact that I actually got it done, I think, is remarkable, actually. It is what it is, as my wife would say. When I'm talking about people to thank, besides Chesapeake Light Craft, Wooden Boat School, Tiny Boat Nation, I'd like to thank Interlux. Interlux provided me with all of the paints, primers, and varnishes that I needed for this boat. And I must say, their products are really good products. So first we have our primer, and this is a blue-gray primer. This is going to be for the outside of the hull. This is the Pre-Coat Plus by Interlux. And we have the primer for the inside of the boat. This is a white primer. The outside of the boat is going to be painted Bondi Blue. And this is Top Black Plus. The outside of the boat's probably going to need 2 quarts, so we have 2 quarts of that. And for the inside of the boat, where the white primer goes, and after that will be Top Black Plus Off-White. And the areas that aren't getting that are going to get varnished. This is the Schooner Classic High Gloss Varnish with UV protection. All of them performed very well. I don't know how well they're going to hold up over time. This is my first time doing this. But I know that all the products went on really well, and sometimes you can just tell if something is good because it's nice and thick and it has a nice strong chemical smell. By the way, wear a respirator, not just a dust mask or an N95 with this stuff. Definitely when you're painting these things, wear a full-on respirator. I had one and I actually replaced it halfway through and got an upgraded one, and I don't regret wearing the respirator at all. All of that work, all the hours of sanding and priming and taping and painting and sanding and sanding and sanding have finally come to an end. I need to put some tie downs on the back. I might put some cleats on the boat, and I may do something like mount a paddle right here. This morning I just threw my old paddle in here and a net. Everything else though fit up there in my bow storage compartment, which I'm really happy about, because that was what I was hoping I could do with that area, is instead of having my boat box on the boat, take all the contents of my boat box and more and be able to stuff it all up in there. I was able to do that, so I'm really pleased about that. And I'm really glad that Tiny Boat Nation talked me into going with this HydroTurf floor. I was originally thinking about doing the thing where you put sand in the paint to make it kind of grippy, but apparently that's hard to keep clean. This looks really cool. I really like it. And it feels great underfoot. Probably would feel great underfoot even barefoot. So I like that a lot. So I hope you like this little tour of my Jimmy Skiff II. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of this boat in the future, because I didn't get this boat just to build it and just to have the satisfaction of building it. I got this boat to use, and I'm going to use it a lot. And it's not going to stay pristine forever. And I'm going to take it to some shows and things. So if you're ever in the area and there happens to be some kind of small boat show or whatever, I might be there with my Jimmy Skiff II. And because I have a nice trailer for it, I'm going to take it some other destinations. I'm not just going to stay right here in my creek and my river. I plan on doing a lot with this boat, and you'll be seeing a lot of it over the next few years. And I've gotten rid of all my other small boats. I have no aluminum boats anymore. I just have this and the Whaler, which I think I'm going to name Whale. And then the Glastron boat back there, which I haven't shown you yet, other than in a couple of social media posts. Anyway, that's enough of this for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I want to thank all of the people who helped me with this project. You stay safe out there in the water, and here's the playlist of videos about the Jimmy Skiff. If you want to peruse this playlist and see if there's something else you might like to watch. And if you're thinking about building one of these, I really do recommend this kit, because compared to a lot of other ones, this one is great.